everybody. Welcome to Beyond Apps and Chatbots, the customer channel most brands are missing. I'm Nico Bernie Miller, the CEO of Change3. I'm excited to kick off our new Business Live Lab with IBM and one of their key partners, NativeMsg. If you haven't learned about RCS or Rich Communication Services, this is the webinar for you to be joining. We're going to have a very interactive conversation with the CEO of NativeMsg, as well as a key leader at IBM. So buckle up and get ready for a great conversation. So I want to introduce you to two of my guests today, for Brian Stafford. Hi, Brian. How are you?
Hi, Nico. How are you? Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. And Sancha Matheson from IBM. Hi, Sancha.
Hi. Good to see you again.
Yes. So I don't like to make people crazy with a lot of slides. We do have some interesting visuals, and Brian's going to do, I think, a jaw-dropping demo for all of us today. But I want to tell everybody what our program is going to be like today. We're going to have a 3-question format because we're Change3. So we're going to ask 3 questions to Brian. He's going to walk us through what is RCS and why are we missing the boat with it, you guys, because I'm already feeling like I need to do something different today. So I'm excited for you guys to see this. And then Sancha's also going to walk us through, because I know a lot of our audience are also tech solution providers yourselves. And IBM is probably one of the best vendors you could work with to empower you and enable your AI solutions on its watsonx platform and all its other great technology. And NativeMsg is a great example of that. So Sancha will walk us through that. And let's kick off our conversation. As you guys know, with our Business Live Labs, if you're watching us on the stream, you'll be able to watch the next 15 or so minutes. Our stream producer's he's pretty flexible and generous. He'll find that right moment to cut, but you're not going to be able to see the full conversation if you don't join the actual live lab. It's a very simple, streamlined experience. You can click the link in the comments to get right over to the live lab and enter your email address, and then you can watch the full conversation as well as get the AI recap and ask questions to Brian and his team and all this kind of great stuff. So make sure you join us in the live lab. But right now, let's all enjoy the conversation. I'm going to dive in and ask the first question, which you'll also be able to see on screen. This is a kind of big deal, right? And folks have been playing around with different kinds of messaging tools for one way or another. What's changed in business messaging, Brian? Walk us through it.
Yes, for sure. It's an exciting time. Text messaging has got an upgrade. So essentially, we're going to the next version of SMS, which is something called RCS, which stands for Rich Communication Services. But really, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what it's called. You're getting interactive text messaging. And what they've done is they've put a GUI on top of text messaging. So you have different ways, and I'll kind of walk through a demo here in a second, that you can have buttons, carousels, verified senders. And that's one of the big deals with RCS also, is now texts aren't going to come from a phone number anymore. They're going to come from the brand, and they're going to come from the business. So think about, I get my banking text message from something, some 10-digit short code or 10-digit code, and I don't know whether to click the link or not. And as more and more spam and fraud is happening, people are just ignoring those messages. Well, now those messages will come from the brand. So it'll be logo, it'll be verified by the operator. So all of a sudden there's trust in there. And as a consumer, now I can interact with that brand and engage with that brand right inside of my text messaging channel. The other beautiful thing about this is it comes inside of Google Messages in an iMessage 18.1 and higher. So there's nothing the end consumer has to do. I don't have to download an app. I don't have to register for anything. It is native to my phone inside of those messaging channels. So I can get this experience as a consumer right away. But then as a business, I can start engaging with my customers for many, many different types of use cases right off the bat. So it's very exciting. It's a big change that's happening. And it's available now on about 90% plus of phones. We have some customers who are up over 96%, depending on the carrier, their audience. So it is there. It is ready to go. And it is just a great new technology that a lot of people are unaware about. So we're very excited to show it today.
Wow. Brian, you came ready, locked and loaded, didn't you?
We've been working on this a long time, and we're excited to, get out there and tell people about it.
So let me just unpack that, because those are like a bunch of stuff in there to double click. So number one, as a brand like IBM or Change3 or NativeMsg or insert your company, you can get verified. So there's trust involved. So it's no more just a phone number and then copy inside the message. There's actually kind of like a blue check mark or something like that, like a verification from the carrier.
Correct. Yes. And if we want to bring that demo up, I think that'd probably be the best.
Yeah, let's do the demo. Yeah.
You can actually see what this looks like.
This is awesome. Yeah.
So what you're looking at here is just an Android phone. So I'm going to go into Google Messages, which is pre-installed. And if I go into my inbox, this is what an RCS message comes as now. So if you look at, there's some 10-digit phone numbers, there's some short codes in there, but these ones with the blue check or the blue bubble, those are RCS. And if it's verified by the operator, you'll see a check mark next to it. So here's a native message one. So you can log in or click on that. And now I can click on the brand and I can see all of this brand information. So again, this is coming from the brand. It's been verified by the operators, and there's a vetting process. If you're a brand, right, we work with you to go and say, hey, this is who they say they are, right? So the operators, in the US, the T-Mobiles, the AT&T, the Verizon say, okay, right, we've done all our checks and balances. We're going to launch this on our network so we know this is a verified sender. But once you get in here, it's an interactive, engaging experience. So what I will show you here is you can use something like a QR code here to start this. So I can go in and I'm going to scan this QR code on my device. And now it will launch inside RCS. So it's really that simple. So think of all the use cases, right? CLTV, you're in an event, you're at a trade show. And all as a brand I have to do is put up a QR code. And now I've pushed someone to an immersive, personalized experience inside of their texting channel on their device. And they didn't have to do anything except scan that Gen example. I could click on it and a web view pops up. So now you're doing multimodal. You're going text, you're going web, maybe I have a journey that's already exists. And then the power is there is also freeform texting. So then you marry in a Watson X or a Watson X Orchestrate underneath, and you have all these agentic workflows. So this is really just the interface layer, right? The new UI to AI, the new UI to the brand and customer communications, which is just great.
Brian, I'm gonna just throw these glasses off, and I'm gonna be like, now that's Tinder, right? Have you seen those? Right? This is a tenderized moment right here. We're done. Thank you. This was great. I mean, my brain is blown. I don't even know where to begin. So you're going to have to guide us through this, because I feel like we're at the beginning of something transformational. Sancho, do you agree, right? We're literally living through history. It is, right? And I mean, when people think about ads and ChatGPT, it just makes your stomach sink and you're like, I don't want that. But this feels like an ad experience that everyone would want. Like the advertiser wants this channel to create these rich communication experiences. The user who gets to opt into it by scanning the QR code or clicking the link gets to enjoy that experience without having to download an app. They get to get trust, right? So this is, I'm blown away. So let's keep going. Okay, right. Yeah. So keep going. Sancho, did you want to give some context here?
I think that, this is really kind of untapped, and being a user, we're all users, right, of mobile technology. Yeah. Things are a little stale right now, right? And having this type of an experience as a user, I think will really encourage a lot more engagement with customers and really lead to like new opportunities to figure out what do they want to see from this technology and where are they really engaging that's going to drive growth for businesses. So this is really kind of a tip of the pyramid.
It really is. And you know what, depending on your demographic, some people are insulted when you call them. So this is like an ideal environment. I'm floored. So this is going to be a good conversation. I see folks are coming in. If you're watching us on the stream, you just got your mind blown too. And you got a little bit longer, or you're going to be able to enjoy more about what NativeMsg is going to be doing and they're literally going to take over the whole world when it comes to this channel. If you've been doing SMS marketing, which is that in and of itself is a spicy topic, if you've been doing that, this is going to take you to a level that you really would want to be at. You've got trust, you've got opt-in, permissioning, everything that would really create that right experience for your future customer or your existing customer to just have an incredible experience. So talk to me, Brian, for us marketers, because that's who's in this conversation, right? Senior marketing leaders, revenue generators, go to market. What kind of do you already have like best practices mapped out, like the journey? I'm sure you do, because you've teased at some of it with me. So, give us some of that before we move on to the next question, because I want to finish this part of the conversation before we end the stream. So give everybody a little sneak peek of what's that best practice as they would look at RCS and think about reimagining their SMS channel. It's not even that, it's something new, right?
Right.
So what is this new thing? How do they go about this in the best practice manner?
Well, I think the first thing is, the ability for you to reuse your SMS opt-ins, because it really all falls under the text messaging channel. So if you've spent time, a lot of money to build up this asset of this SMS audience, that can be reused, and that can all be sent through this channel. Because to the end user, I'm getting the message in the same place. Now it's just coming from the brand. It's not coming from the phone number, the whole trusted verified side of things. But so that's kind of existing, That's outbound. But on the inbound side of things, it allows me to put many more things in place. We showed you the QR code. Maybe someone can text in. You can click on a link on a mobile device and it'll launch RCS. They're starting to integrate this into Google search and into other paid ads. So if you go and you saw that United one, if you were to search United Airlines on Google, you would see the ability to click and start an RCS conversation right there. So we can enable brands to be, in all of these, what we call entry points or touch points out there to the consumer to help them build their list, help them build the engagement going further. So yes, there is all of these outbound rich media conversational pieces, but there's all these discovery pieces that we can put in place out there as well, then to help the marketer kind of grow their audience and grow their customer interactions.
Absolutely. I got one more question. So just to double click on that, so you can have all sorts of entry points. It's being integrated into search ads, because you can use a link or a QR code, you can integrate it into basically any ad, surface, any kind of marketing surface, you could integrate this into it. It becomes a channel through which to receive interest. Rather than a landing page, for example, you might replace that or complement it with an RCS experience. Is that how us marketers should think about it?
Yes, you should think about this as kind of a new extension, There's probably a lot of digital processes you already have in place, or maybe there's new ones. You're like, oh wow, I didn't realize I could do this in the text messaging channel where attention is the highest, and I can put this customer journey in there. So I think that's one thing to think about is what are these customer journeys you have? Are there ones with friction? Can I move those forward into this texting channel where everyone's time and attention is already spent? Now your brand is integrated with texts that are happening with the consumer's family and friends. And that's the beauty. And it's asynchronous. So I can always go back to it. 3 a.m. I forgot to.
For sure. It's just when people
utility bill, I can go on there and do some type of workflow or some type of thing. So it doesn't always have to be marketing, but that marketing can lead into that customer journey. Correct.
I love it. Okay, I got 2 more questions before we end the stream, because I'm telling you, I know everybody's like, oh my gosh, I have to learn more about this. So the first one is, what if I've got a little inbound team? I'm thinking about 3, 4, 5 clients that I have right now, and they've got, full funnel, multi-channel, programs that we're working with them on. And this would be a wonderful surface to activate into this. Is this something you can activate in an inbound channel? So folks are calling your agents, you're having conversations with them. Can you push this to somebody during a phone call? Can you email them a link, text them a link, is this something you can integrate into an experience like that?
Yes, 100%. So this could be something that, complements that channel, possibly replaces it, in certain use cases. But yes, think I'm having a phone call or some type of interaction with a customer service representative. Oh, here, I can send you a PDF of those product specs. I can send you
a PDF of a contract.
Oh, you're interested in, this new shirt that came out. Here's 5 shirts. Here's a carousel that you can scroll through and possibly purchase from right there. So it becomes very interactive, a great way to move kind of, engagement, move the customer journey right into the user's hands while you're having that real-time dialogue.
I love it. And is IBM Watson X already baked inside this? So if a client were to say, yep, I'm using NativeMsg and I want an AI intelligence added into this customer interaction, like what we just talked about. Hey, you called inbound, you interacted with an ad. Now I'm going to use AI to help qualify you before you actually talk to a live person. Is that kind of baked in? Mm-hmm.
Yes. So behind the scenes, right, as that conversation is happening, that Watson X engine behind there can be handling that one-to-one kind of chat conversation, and then throw in the extra layer if like Watson X orchestrate, like this agentic AI that people are talking about. And then I want to update my delivery time and all the different things that need to happen. That can kick off that whole stream of these AI agents behind the scenes to have that happen. So really what RCS becomes, it becomes the interface to a lot of these new AI, use cases that are happening. A lot of it's supported underneath, yes, by the IBM Watson X platform.
I love it. Well, guys, Sancha, please.
Yeah, sorry. This is just a great way to shorten the sales cycle too. I mean, we all know that that's one of the reasons why we do what we do, is we're all trying to gain new clients and share this technology and create success stories. But when you have AI that's working for you and you're able to engage more personally, faster, and really streamline that experience, ultimately the outcome is you have a much shorter sales cycle and a happier customer.
Absolutely. Guys, this portion, if you're watching us on the live stream, hop on over to the Business Lab. The live stream is going to end right now, but I've got 2 more questions and a bunch more conversation to have with Brian and Sancha. So don't miss it. And obviously, if you join the live lab, there's going to be some live Q&A with Brian. I know that you've got 3 or 4 questions in your brain. So come on over, and we're going to end the live stream right now. For those of you that are in the webinar and the live lab, don't worry. Everything's going to be fine. So I'm going to move on to question number 2. So I know our stream operator is working on getting us ending the live stream, and I'm making him put up the next question. So Brian, walk us through it. What happens when AI enters the conversation? We just touched on that. So now walk us through it.
I think you have 2 big things. One is context and personalization, right? So let's talk about personalization first. You're coming in, now we know possibly something about you, or your history with the business. So now we can provide those personalized responses to you, those personalized menu structures, right? This is the type of workflow you usually do. This is what you're looking for. So I think that the AI handles very well. And then also is the context. Right? When we say context, it's kind of like what have I been talking about? What has the topic or the theme been? Right? So if I may be looking at some, in the e-commerce, I'm looking at some, products, or maybe I'm looking at different types of tickets or something on a ticketing platform. And then I say, okay, how much does this cost? Well, the AI has to be smart enough to know, okay, this is this is what you've been doing. And now I can go surface that information back to the user. So the AI becomes it knows how to take that natural text and then know what you were talking about or the theme, and then respond to the end user in that fashion. So I think from the consumer side and their experience, the AI adds a lot. Now, from the business side, right now you can start to look at, okay, every one of these signals that comes off, the business user is able to see that, right? They're able to see what do those journeys look like. So now how do I take thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of journeys and start to make sense of that information? How could I do this better? What would be a better resolution here? How could I have a message I could have sent better that would have made the customer satisfaction higher possibly? So now you start plugging a lot of that into the AI engines, and then you can really have some very predictable business results that are going to be, that are going to move the needle for you. So I think AI touches this in many different ways, from both the consumer side and from the business intelligence side.
That's fantastic. So, um, back to a multi-channel environment. So you've got, a lot of our clients, they have a human component. They're just kind of figuring out their agentic component.
Yep.
They might have a few different marketing surfaces in which they're, driving channels. What's the experience like? So you're like, okay, I want to jump into RCS. I'm not doing anything with messaging. What's that lead time look like if you're, deciding to use this channel? I'm sold. So it's like, okay, so Brian, get me from zero to hero? Like, what does that journey look like?
So I think there's a couple components. One is the RCS side of it, right? So for the RCS side, once we engage with a customer, depending how fast we can move on, right, getting user journeys and that, it takes about 4 weeks or so to actually launch the agent. Okay. But there's a lot of pre-work that needs to happen, right? Sure. Depending on the complexity of the experience. So then as we kind of, peel it back a little bit, it's like, okay, what is the intelligence? What is the AI? Do we have agentic processes underneath that we need to put in place? Our recommendation for all of our customers is always start small. Let's stick our toe in the water. Let's prove out a use case. Let's get some results, and then let's go from there. Right. So, and that's probably from all layers of the stack, from RCS, right, from the AI side. And if you have, if there is a business that has existing, maybe they have a chatbot that already exists in the bottom right corner, or through another piece of technology they have, or they're already fully into agentic AI and they have some workflows that they've put in place. This is a perfect place to surface those. How does the end consumer, or even in a B2B, how does a business user use some of that AI? Well, this becomes the surface into all of that intelligence. And a lot of that intelligence is kind of getting weaved together, right? Because it is getting so smart. But you still need some way for the end consumer, the end user, to be able to touch it, use it, get responses. And this becomes kind of that new user interface into this whole agentic AI world. And I think once you start getting there, right, and not to get too fast, but once you start getting there, it gets very powerful, right? And then it gets, you're able to really see the benefits and move the needle far and move the needle fast.
Yeah, powerful, fast. So talk to me about the journey. First of all, trust. So, you're like, okay, I want to do RCS. I've got a well-defined process. I'm not agentic yet, but I've got a really well-defined customer journey. I know how to optimize it. So what's the first step? They need to be verified with the carriers, or walk us through that part of it.
Yeah. So we work very closely with the customer, and there's some information that we need to collect from them, right? Business information, key contacts at the brand, different types of things like that. And then we present them to go get them vetted or verified. It's kind of the standard process that they put in place. I think the operators and mobile network operators learned a lot.
Yeah.
Kind of the short code process of what is the best way to do this, right? You have to give a logo, a background image, right? Is there no copyright infringement? All this type of things they vet it. And then once that vetting comes back, then we take the use case and we present it to the operator. And we say, hey, this is, brand XYZ, and they would like to do a customer service use case. They would like to do a marketing use case. And this is what the flows look like. They approve it and they launch it on their networks. So there's some work that happens, but it's in a good way, because we're trying to keep the channel trusted. And in order to keep it trusted, right, we want to make sure all the checks and balances are placed, because then it's clean, right? And then it's valuable. Absolutely. And then it's powerful for all of us.
Right. It's not spam, right? You don't have to worry that this message that you got from a brand is somehow suspicious, because it's really fully vetted. You've got the trust there. I think that's what's really important. So is there some kind of, Brian, do I need to get you back here on another different day so that you can walk us through the best practices, right, for marketers? Because my brain is just going wild, and I'm sure that our audience is experiencing the same thing. You're thinking, okay, because this is such a distinct and unique interactive channel. This is unlike anything. It's not a conversation ad on LinkedIn. It's not a messaging ad on Meta. This is something really distinct, powerful, and intelligent. Are there best practices in terms of what kind of assets? Do you create something special? Can you take the assets you already have to weave together a really effective experience in RCS? Kind of give me a little bit of a lens and teach us a little bit about that too.
Yeah, I mean, number one, you're always going to want to use an right? And permission is always key with this, and that like any text messaging channel, right? Any reputable brand is going to follow that. So that's kind of table stakes, from the beginning. As we move on from there, yes, adding value to the consumer, right, is always going to be something to get their intention to engage. If you're just sending out, right, the typical text message with something, hey, click on this to look at an offer or something like that. Right. As a marketer, right, you want to create engaging content. You want to create something that someone's going to get immersed in, create a journey, right? Have them clicking, have them pushing through and starting to learn. So anytime you can do kind of create those kind of engaging moments to keep that user's attention, get them further down the funnel, I think that's going to always, win in the end. But if there is a goal in mind that they came to that channel with, getting them from A to B as fast as they can is always a winner also, right? If I'm trying to, accomplish a task, I get through that task and find it. So we work with a number of best practices of how to present it, kind of a new form factor, right? Messaging has been around for a while, but now there's buttons, there's carousels, there's all these different types of things. So how do you get that? How do you maybe marry in some web-based content that you already have or web forms inside of there as well to kind of make this kind of multimodal experience? And so we have tools to do that. We have campaign builders that you can build all this stuff out. So this can be self-service, or we can, hey, we'll take this on for you, and we can work with you very closely, to achieve your customer journeys and get these types of journeys executed.
Awesome. So when are you going to launch your agency program, right? To onboard agencies, because I know there's going to be a whole long line of them that are be like, I really want to do this. So do you have an agency program yet, or is that in your future?
We do work with a few agencies. I wouldn't say we have a formal agency program in place, but that is something that's on the roadmap. But we are always, open to talking to new agencies, working with them. They normally own the creative assets, the creative direction, the creative knowledge for their brands and their businesses. So they're going to be the domain holders of what the brand's trying to execute. So we always want to team up with a great agency when we can to bring these to life.
Awesome. Is this something that a small or a mid-sized business could, absorb? Can they afford this? Is this something that will be structured that a smaller company could take advantage of?
Yes, 100%. I mean, the nice thing is there are some setup fees, and they're in the hundreds of dollars, right, to get this up.
That's
and those
nothing.
are right. And the carriers, it's it's a pass through from the operators down to the brand. Yeah. But after that, it's pretty similar to SMS, maybe a little bit more. So if you're used to SMS rates, it could be just a little bit more expensive or similar.
Okay.
And there are a few different models they use on the pricing side. One is, you kind of have a message that's pretty basic that they call the basic RCS, which is similar to SMS. Then they have kind of a rich media, which has the videos, the carousels, the buttons, and that's like an MMS. But they have something very interesting they're rolling out right now called conversational pricing. So with conversational pricing, once you get through, I think about 4 messages, it is unlimited for a 24-hour period. So you're paying one fixed price, because the last thing, right, especially as a marketer, the last thing you want to do is have this unknown cost variable in the back of your head as I'm designing out a user journey, right? I'm going to say, well, I might not want, this would be a better experience, but it's going to cost me more. And right, we don't want to put people in those types of scenarios. So what happens is now it's a fixed cost over that 24-hour period. So what it's going to cost you to engage with that customers, back and forth as many times as possible.
Awesome. So third question. This is awesome. Folks, if you're getting questions that you want to ask and answer as well, make sure that you start gathering together, because you're going to have some live Q&A with Brian and Sansha, and me too, of course. And so, make sure you start gathering your questions. So third question for the kind of prepared portion, where should this fit into your strategy? So you are, a mid-sized, advertiser, maybe you sell products, maybe you sell B2B products, and you decided that you want to activate a new marketing surface, because we all know that email's harder it's becoming even more difficult to get tracking data from email, and that a lot of people are, moving more of their attention and their time onto mobile. So, how do you incorporate, native message into your overall marketing strategy? And you've already mentioned to us that it can bolt on, it can amplify or augment, but in an ideal world, what should that stack be like from your experience at this early point? Is RCS now the best channel? Where does it fit in that stack of communication platforms for an opt-in list? And then what about for an acquisition audience where you're creating these entry points, as you mentioned, from your experience, Brian, walk us through that part as well.
I mean, we're always going to vote for RCS as being the best channel. So I think that's
all right.
That one. But no, as you kind of look at this and look at this technology, I think the first thing to do is identify, right, what is possibly a digital journey that is having friction or is lacking or something I could do better. You're going to get immediate value. You're going to get immediate return on something like that. So what problem can I address, or what process would it be better if I put this in, more front and center in the text messaging channel, is a great way to start. Now, from there, right, as you get a little more sophisticated with these, it's okay. Most programs, when texting and marketing, don't live on an island, right? They integrate with a CRM. They integrate with a number of different platforms. So, okay, can I tie this in very easily? And we make it very simple to tie this into like a CRM. So as you are putting these entry points out there, someone is clicking on something and they're going into this. Now I can push that data back into my CRM. So I know, I have some history. I know what that looks like. So there's ways of integration. And then are there other things that I can automate? So I think where that's the automation. So you look at what is the problem? What is the use case I'm trying to solve for? What are possibly the business systems that, would benefit from utilizing or being connected to this technology? And then, right, is there automation? Is there agentic AI? Are there some workflows I already have in place? And how do I connect those into this channel to really make this very powerful? Because I think that's always a great starting point. It's kind of, okay, let's stick our toe in the water, but really let's see what that end goal is. Let's have the vision of where we want to be with this in 3, 6, 12 months from now, and then start working towards that, making sure we're checking the success boxes along the way. I think that's always a good strategy, right? In rolling out any type of new technology, to make sure that the brands and businesses are successful.
Fantastic. So let's just wrap up and move on to the last visual, because Brian has covered a bunch of key points. This is a platform that everyone's using. It sounds like it's evolving, and that the carriers which Native Message works with directly are rolling out some new features. It sounds like this is affordable and accessible to organizations of varying sizes. You don't have to be a huge enterprise like IBM. You could be a mid-size or a smaller organization. It's going to benefit you most if you have a well-defined marketing infrastructure, a CRM, you've got well-defined customer journeys that how to optimize and monetize. It's going to benefit you most. And what's most important here is it sounds like Brian and his team are going to be your partner along the way to get you verified, to help you build your campaigns. They've got some great tools to help you do that and launch quickly. And it doesn't sound like this takes a long time. I heard you earlier, you said like a few weeks. I'm floored by that too. So, but yeah, right, from zero to hero in a few weeks with a very interactive campaign. That sounds pretty darn incredible. Are there any last thoughts that you'd share before we spend a little bit of time with Sancha talking about how she started working with Native Message and how IBM works with partners like you? Any last comments you want to make about RCS and why we all need to do it today?
Yeah, I think the one thing is is awareness. This exists today, and it can be implemented quickly on, inside of your marketing stack. There's nothing really, stopping that at this point in time. And we've been working on this RCS technology. It's not our technology, it's an open technology, but working on solutions around this for a while. So this is we're so excited to be able to get out there and be able to execute and implement things for our customers. But when you look at like, what are your digital transformation? What are your digital projects you're having? Right? What AI components, right, are you building and orchestrate agentic solution? How do I extend that? How do I interface into that? So I think those are things that keep in the back of your mind. It's like, okay, right, what are the opportunities? Where can I layer this on top of to kind of solve some of these digital things that I'm already working with, right? We've had an awesome partner with IBM, being able to power a lot of this under the hood. So that's always a great way to kind of say, okay, what exists and how can I put this into this channel?
Awesome. Thank you so much. Sancha, dear, it is your part of the program. Talk to us about IBM. So I've had the joy to work with IBM for 2 decades. I know neither of you believe that because I look so young and fresh, but and I've watched you guys build your partner networks and support partners in a variety of ways. So talk to us all about the relationship you have with NativeMsg, and more importantly, how you enable AI solutions to launch, using your build program and your platforms.
Yeah. No. First of all, thanks so much, Nico, for inviting us and having us be part of the series. Your team is awesome, and I think these types of conversations are very relevant, very timely, and I really commend you for bringing them forward and sharing them with your audiences. So Brian and I and his team, we started working together a little while ago, not too long ago. I think it's been a bit over a year, Brian, if I'm not mistaken. And what's really important is that our ecosystem program, and more specifically our build program, which is focused on partners that want to embed IBM technology into their existing solution, we get introduced to some of the most amazing, fascinating, and innovative companies out there that are bringing solutions to the market. And Brian and NativeMsg, are one. And one of my favorites, honestly, because of how unique his use case and that company's use case is. I feel this type of technology, again, I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, I think this is really like that kind of diamond in the rough stage for this type of a solution and technology. And I encourage everybody who's listening to really think about it. I love the way that Brian has positioned this as, this isn't just a box on the shelf that it's one size fits all. It's definitely not one size fits all. And NativeMsg can work with you to use what you currently have and bring it into this new space and engage with your customers in a new way, which frankly, as I mentioned again, it's kind of stale right now. I mean, how many of us get these text messages and it's like basically click this link to see something or click this link to check your order. There's nothing new happening. This is what's new. And because the price point is doable for all sizes of companies, you can start small with one specific project, find those outcomes, and then scale it whatever direction you need to. It's very, very low risk. And I think that this is something that everybody should really, really think hard about and explore. But more about the partnership. So, as a way of how we work with partners, we generally work with partners similar to what's been described today. We want to understand what their use case for IBM technology is. Where can IBM technology fill gaps for them or expand their reach and help them grow into new spaces, new markets, and with new clients? And then we work with them to identify, okay, these are the pieces of technology that will do that for you. We have an engineering team that works with the partner directly to ensure that they are able to embed that technology and get the results that they need. And then ultimately at the end of that part of the journey, the partner then makes that embedded solution generally available. So the embedded solution is their original solution plus what's been put into it from IBM. And once it's generally available, then any customer can purchase it. And then my role more specifically is working with partners like NativeMsg in that go-to-market stage where we try to find as many ways as possible to bring awareness to the market outside of IBM as well as inside IBM with our sellers and our executives and subject matter experts to make them aware of what the solution actually does and the outcomes that can be expected from people who use it.
That's awesome. And you guys have all kind of resources as well to help your partners grow, like making connections like this. There's other resources, funds, campaigns. There's all sorts of things you guys to help to
we do
get partners out there.
We're very much a community focused team here in the Build ecosystem. So we believe in not only trying to engage very personally with our partners wherever we can, but also to introduce them to each other, because we have several instances where partners become clients to each other. It's just, there's so many, like I said, so many incredible solutions that are being brought to market. And we have the tools that you mentioned. We have funds that help them when they're building. We have these different networking opportunities. We have ways to reach the market, ways to reach our sellers. So we're very much, working hand in hand with these partners. Sometimes it's a little bit more self-serve, where we give them the guidance and the tools and the frameworks, and then other times it's a little bit more hands-on. So each partner is different, but we have a variety of different ways that we can execute.
Fantastic. So as we wrap up, yeah, Brian, did you have anything you wanted to share?
I was just going to say, as IBM being a large company, NativeMsg being an emerging company, working with them has been unbelievable. They've put our arms around us, and they are always available, always helpful, and it's just been a great experience. Just for a little testimony.
Well, it's not hard to be in love with what you guys are doing. I think I can see why there's a really good connection there. So before we go into Q&A, so folks, feel free to ask your questions. You've got Brian for a few more minutes before we're going to end this live lab. Of course, if you joined the live lab, then you'll be able to ask Brian and his team questions even after today's live session is over, and you'll receive some information. The team of NativeMsg also have a special offer just for our group, our ecosystem. You'll receive some information for it after today's session, as well as a link in the chat. That might take a minute because I'm surprising my stream operator with that, but make sure we get that link in the chat. We'll also have members of our team reach out to you to talk to you about if you'd like to do a demo with Brian and his team, if you want to explore this RCS with NativeMsg a little bit further. But let's see if there's any questions in the chat. So I see that there are a couple popping up. All right, so here we go. We use a lot of different tools in our tech stack. How difficult is it to connect our NativeMsg, this tech, to a tech stack? So let's say somebody's using, I don't know, Dynamics or Salesforce or something like that. How difficult would it be for them to connect that to NativeMsg? And then stream operator, let's show the question so folks can see it as Brian answers.
Yeah, I'd like to say pretty simple, right? Depending on, what the tech stack is. For the vast majority of them, it's right, the number of APIs, MCP servers out there these days. We can connect and have two-way data flowing back and forth. So that's something, right, we are an extension. We sit on top of business systems. We're not looking to rip and replace anything. So that's at the core of our architecture, core of our technology. It was always about what systems do we need to connect to be able to send and receive messaging. So, obviously each scenario is different. We would look at it and see, but for the vast majority of them, it's pretty simple to integrate this on top of, your existing marketing stack or tech stack.
Cool. So this is coming in through marketing or maybe go-to-market or revenue operations. Is there a big IT lift involved with integrating NativeMsg into that stack, or is this a typical cloud play that they might be used to?
Yes, it's going to be a typical cloud play that they're used to, right? Plugging in any other type of technology stack or SaaS provider that they would have. Great thing working with IBM, obviously a very trusted name, from a technology standpoint. So that always helps in that solution as well.
Awesome. All right, more questions. I see more questions popping up. Okay, next one that we've got. Okay. What's the best way to begin? So, do you have some software? That's what I was asking earlier, let's work us through it, because I'm already thinking about so many things, but, what's the best way to get started if you haven't been doing RCS or SMS marketing? Not everyone does it.
So I think there's the kind of the strategy side of it, right? Where is this adding value? Where are you going to get return? What customer communications are you trying to have? From an implementation standpoint, we make it very simple to get into our platform. Literally, you can type in a few phone numbers, send them to your phone, and you can have a test RCS agent, they're called, on your device, and you can be interacting with that. So we make it very simple from both hey, let's figure out what this looks like. Right? Where are you going to add value into your goals and your outcomes? But then, right, you can start playing with it right away. Because I think once you get it in your hands, right, then the wheel starts spinning as far as like, oh, wow, if I could do this or that, or there's this one thing over here that we've been trying to solve for and we haven't had a good solution for it. And this can kind of fall into that bucket there. But we're happy to work with anyone, kind of sit down, have kind of a strategy session of, what does your business look like? What are you trying to achieve? What are some short-term goals that you have? And see how we can apply RCS. Really, with RCS, it's like the early days of the App Store, right? You kind of have this blank slate of like, what do you want to build? And we have templated solutions and we have very things out of the box, so you don't always have to start, right? Because we never want it to be too much, but right, looking at it and saying, okay, this is right. We can get very creative with this from the start, or you can kind of look and say, okay, these are kind of the best practice solutions, and let's implement that and go from there. So I think there's a number of different ways depending on kind of your innovation temperature and what you're trying to do to kind of move this forward.
Sure. So I got two scenarios I want you to comment on. So because I'm thinking about somebody in particular. So the first one is, you've got a customer channel, your customers, your potential customers call inbound and they need to receive a contract. And sometimes that's sent to them maybe through DocuSign, or maybe you send them a PDF and there's some sort of signature. Would that be a use case for an RCS to, become part of that process? Does it replace that process? Can you, have that contract go through RCS instead of email and provide better analytics? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes. I mean, if you're delivering a file, like a PDF file, sending that over RCS is 100% capable, right? So you can deliver that. Then you have it in your text messaging inbox. Maybe you read it and it comes with a I agree button or something. And that's something the user can click on that and send back, maybe require signature or something like that. That might not be best handled on a phone. Maybe it is, right? At that point, right, it would be up to figuring it out with the customer. But if there's a workflow like a DocuSign or something, there could be a link to the DocuSign. That web view that I showed you pops up right inside of the text messaging channel. Now you complete your DocuSign, right? Hit submit, hit X out of it, and you're still in the text messaging channel. So there's ways to kind of, I think, depending on what your user flow is or your user journey, figure out. But 100%, all of those things are great, ways to, not send a push notification, send something that is going to be a little more sticky, that's going to lit there and say, okay, oh, wait, I got that contract. Let me get back to that in an hour when I have some time and actually review it. And then it's sitting in my texting channel. So there's a lot of, I think, productivity ways that it enhances the experience as well.
Right. You don't have to search for an email. It's actually in a channel where you've got a lot less communications. It's interactive. And on the back end side, as the marketer, would you be able to see really good analytics? I would imagine you'd be able to see the journey, right? The click flow and where they are. Is that kind of deep analytics available on the back end?
Yes. So that's one of the other benefits I don't think we touched on a lot here is all of the additional metrics and analytics that you get from these, from using RCS. Right. With SMS, you get a delivery. Maybe you would get that it was just delivered to the operator. Maybe you knew it was delivered to the device, depending on what the capabilities of the cell phone provider are. But with RCS, you get delivery, you get read receipts. Every click, every interaction that's happening, every button press. So you can kind of map through what those user journeys look like, from an analytical perspective. 68% of my audience is going this way. The other ones are going this way in the funnel, and kind of actually see visuals and actually have the hard data to make some intelligent decisions as far as, okay, well, there's a lot of friction here, even using this channel. Let's fix it and go this way. So compared to apps where, right, I might have to make a change, submit it, then someone has to download it. you can make changes here in real time, hit publish, and it's out there, right? As long as it's staying on campaign and on journey, right? I know the operators always like us to stay within the campaign guidelines.
Yes. Yes.
But a text change, little things like that, right? Maybe a little journey change. You can publish those in real time. You can A/B test them in real time. I mean, there's a lot of powerful things you can do.
Incredible. Okay, second scenario, and then we'll take our last question, and then we've got to wrap up. So my second scenario is, okay, so the first one was, all right, they've called in, they've kind of given you permission, you push them to RCS for the contract phase, you walked us through that, you get great analytics. So the next one would be, maybe you're running a digital ad campaign, you've got some things going after hours, and people are submitting forms. Instead of calling, they're interested, they've submitted a form, so it's like traditional MQL.
Okay.
Could you replace that form with RCS? So walk me through, what would that look like? So instead of them saying, hey, yeah, call me back or send me some information, can you push them into an RCS experience? And what does that entry point look like? How do you describe it? How do you place it on your website, for example? Give us some insight on what you've experienced so far.
Yes. So you could have, from the entry point perspective, have a button, have an image someone can click on, and then it could launch that RCS experience right on the mobile device, right? So then once you're in there, I think you could have it either, there's a number of different journey ways you could go, right? Someone could have free form text where you're just asking, what's your name, what's your last name, and you're kind of going through there and collecting that information. You could, if you have kind of a, let's call it a more, advanced form, right, where that pops up. Or maybe someone's putting it in a whole kind of big body of natural text, and then you're using something like Watson X underneath the hood to kind of figure out that information, ask follow-up questions, make sure I have all the key pieces of data I need before that form is then submitted, through some type of workflow. So there's a number of different ways to implement it, and we can make it as smart as you want, right? We can make it, okay, hey, we're going to use your form first, but then we're going to move to natural language text, and we can do this conversational style of input, and then, being able to kind of decipher the information and go from there. So yeah, right, it is a great way. It's a great medium. And here's the biggest thing. You want to present it in the way the consumer wants to consume the technology.
An option.
Right? So you want to make it as easy for them. Do they want to go through a cumbersome form, or do they just want to, dictate through their handset, right, what they want to answer, and then let, the intelligence underneath the hood figure out the information?
I love it. All right. Any more questions? You got 3, 2, 1 second. All right. Well, guys, this has been such a game changer. I don't even know what to say other than thank you so much, Brian, for all your intelligence. I know we're going to be having a lot of conversations with everyone who joined. Anyone who missed it, I'm sure that you guys are going to want to watch the replay. We'll have a full AI recap of the whole conversation, as well as access to NativeMsg's offer page. There's an opportunity for you. If you want to use NativeMsg, you might have the opportunity to be featured in a campaign in a program with IBM. So that could be a really interesting opportunity for you as well. And Sancha, thank you so much for making the connection.
Thank you.
We have got a number of really interesting IBM partners. If you thought what Brian shared about NativeMsg was mind-blowing, you just better buckle up and wait, because we're launching what we've got. We've got such a great array. And what's really cool is each of the partners that Sancha and her team have brought to us are all distinct and unique, and their solutions are highly disruptive, just like Brian's. And so you definitely want to join every single one of these sessions in the AI Solution Launchpad with IBM. Brian, dear, thank you so much. Sancha, thank you so much. And you guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the next session. Have a great day. Keep experimenting. Bye, guys.
Bye.